The story opens on an endless desert storm, red dust devouring the horizon. Max drives a rebuilt interceptor across a dead plain, haunted by visions of Furiosa. Voices of the past, from his family, the Vuvolini and Furiosa, echo in his mind. He searches for a rumored haven called Elysium Wells, said to have clean water. Bandits chase him through the dunes, engines screaming like beasts. Max outdrives them, but his fuel runs low and his sanity thinner. The desert whispers. No one escapes the road.
After Immortan Joe's death, the Citadel has fractured into chaos. Furiosa, now queen, struggles to maintain order among the wretched and war boys. The water she promised to share is running out faster than expected. War parties loyal to Joe's surviving sons, Scabrous Rex and Corpus Cain, march to reclaim it. The people begin to whisper that Furiosa's rule is cursed. She refuses to surrender, building new war rigs for defense. But the sands themselves begin to turn blood red, omen of war. Max wanders into an abandoned oil field filled with rusted wrecks and bones. A masked figure, part scavenger, part prophet, calls him the Road Ghost. The stranger warns him that the world is looping, repeating the same pain. Max ignores him, but takes a map showing a way north, where water still breathes. He rescues a young woman, Nova, from marauders who worship engines as gods. Nova speaks of Elysium Wells. She's been there, or so she claims. Max reluctantly agrees to travel with her.
Their journey north is shattered by a titanic sandstorm, glowing with lightning. A convoy of skull-painted raiders, the Sun Eaters, attacks through the storm. Engines roar like thunder, spears ignite, and fire tears across the dunes. Max fights savagely, using the storm's chaos to outmaneuver them. Nova proves herself by shooting the Sun Eater leader through the chest. When the sand clears, only two remain, Max and Nova, bloodied but alive. They find an insignia on the raider leader's armor, the mark of Scabrous Rex.
At the Citadel, Furiosa prepares her war fleet. She knows Rex's forces are uniting in the north and must strike first. The people fear another Immortan will rise, but she swears to break the cycle. The Vuvolini elders warn her that war never ends. It only changes its face. Haunted by guilt over Max's disappearance, Furiosa forges ahead. Her eyes burn with the same fire that once consumed Immortan Joe. The wasteland begins to tremble with the sound of 1,000 engines. Max and Nova reach a settlement built atop oil rigs, a cult city called Petroleon. Its ruler, the prophet of oil, claims to turn gasoline into divine nectar. He preaches that the world must burn so rebirth can begin. Nova is captured as an offering, and Max is thrown into the rig's depths. He fights, gladiator style, against chained scavengers for his freedom. Covered in oil and blood, Max breaks loose and ignites the rig in flames. They escape into the night, leaving Petroleon in ashes behind them. Scabrous Rex, scarred and mutated by oil burns, leads a new army of warlords. He rides a monstrous rig built from 3 tanks fused together, the Leviathan. His brother, Corpus Cain, controls drones and explosives from a moving fortress. They plan to crush Furiosa's citadel and enslave the survivors. Rex vows revenge on the queen who stole father's throne. The desert tribes kneel to him, seeing a ghost of Immortan Joe in his rage. He names his campaign the Cleansing Burn. Max and Nova enter a canyon of shifting mirages where machines seem alive. Hallucinations torment Max. Faces of Furiosa and his lost child flicker in the sand. Nova admits that Elysium Wells may not be real, but a myth created for hope. Max explodes in anger, questioning why she lied. She says, "Because hope is the only fuel we have left." They survive a collapse of rusted tankers and mechanical traps. When they emerge, Max begins to believe she might be right, myth or not.
Furiosa's scouts discover wreckage of Max's old interceptor in the dunes. She believes Max is alive and sends a small squad to find him. Her forces are low on fuel, yet she pushes forward with stubborn resolve. The people begin to doubt her leadership. Some flee to Rex's army. Furiosa holds the high ground, but fears betrayal within her own ranks. She takes the war rig herself, roaring into the storm once more. The desert remembers its fury.
Max and Nova encounter a mass grave of old war boys, their cars half buried. A message scrawled in blood reads, "Rex rises." They are ambushed by Corpus Cain's mechanical drones, flying saws and bombs. Max improvises, luring them into a canyon and detonating an old fuel cache. The explosion creates a fiery inferno, destroying the drones. Nova is wounded, and Max carries her through the smoke. He begins to feel something he hasn't in years. Responsibility. Furiosa unites the remaining Vuvalini riders and desert tribes under her banner. She paints her war rig with the symbol of a rising phoenix, rebirth through fire. Every tribe that joins her brings fuel, weapons, and vengeance. The soundtrack swells with drums of war echoing across the wasteland. She rides to meet Rex's army, knowing she may die on the road. In her eyes burns the reflection of Immortan Joe's skull. Now a warning, not an idol. Let the road decide who's worthy, she declares. Furiosa's convoy collides with Max's route in a storm of dust and engines. They recognize each other instantly. Old allies, scarred and silent. Without words, they fall into rhythm again. Driver and warrior, chaos and order. Nova is skeptical, but senses history between them. Furiosa tells Max of Rex's rise and the looming war. He agrees to help, though he insists, "I don't fight for kingdoms, only survival." Still, his eyes betray a flicker of loyalty. Rex's super rig, the Leviathan.
Thousands of war vehicles on an apocalyptic ocean of steel. Corpus Cain deploys flying bombs to weaken Furiosa's flank. Max, Furiosa, and Nova coordinate a desperate defense. Engines roar, bullets fly, and oil rains from the sky. The wasteland itself becomes the battlefield. Back at the Citadel, Rex's loyalists launch an internal coup. Furiosa's remaining guards fight to hold the cliffs. Water pipelines explode, flooding the caverns below. Max rushes to defend the stronghold while Furiosa confronts Rex. Nova sacrifices herself by detonating explosives beneath the Leviathan. The explosion lights up the desert like a second sun. But Rex survives, barely, burned but unbroken. Under a blood-red sky, Furiosa and Rex face each other atop wrecked engines. Their fight is raw, primal, flesh and metal colliding in firelight. Rex mocks her for believing in mercy. She responds with fury and silence. He impales her arm, but she drives a steel rod through his heart. Both collapse as the Citadel burns in the background. Max arrives too late, finding Furiosa dying but smiling. She whispers, "Don't let them rebuild monsters like us." Max carries Furiosa's body to the war rig and drives into the desert. He buries her beneath a single acacia tree, marking the grave with her gauntlet. As dawn breaks, he hears the distant rumble of engines, scavengers approaching. He doesn't run. He turns the rig toward them. In that moment, he becomes both hunter and hunted, the eternal wanderer. The wasteland roars with approval. The legend of Furiosa ends, but the myth of Max continues. The masked prophet reappears, watching Max from a cliff. He whispers to unseen spirits, "The cycle breathes again." Max's silhouette fades into the horizon, becoming part of the dust. New tribes speak of a ghost who drives without fuel, guided by vengeance. Children born in the wastes play with toy engines, chanting his name. The myth grows, part man, part storm, part god. The road claims its king once more. From the ashes of the Citadel, survivors discover an underground aquifer. Clean water flows. The real Elysium Wells was beneath them all along. Furiosa's sacrifice makes her a goddess in legend. Children drink freely for the first time in generations. A new matriarch rises to protect the wells, invoking Furiosa's name. The people vow never to worship tyrants again. The wasteland sighs. Balance. For now.
In a quiet desert night, wind hums through broken engines like hymns. Rusted cars glow beneath starlight, tombs of warriors long gone.
Max's interceptor, repaired and clean, stands alone on a dune. No one drives it. It simply idles, waiting for a ghost. The prophet of oil's voice echoes. The road is forever. The road remembers. A single crow lands on the hood, cawing into silence. The camera pans upward into the endless desert sky.
Narration fades in.
Max's voice, weary yet calm. Once I ran from the world. Now I drive for those who can't. We see flickers of Furiosa, Nova, and others, ghosts of the road. The desert stretches endlessly, golden and unforgiving. The engine roars one last time, echoing through eternity. Black screen. The words appear. Mad Max will return.